Welcome to the Rise2Shine Podcast with Noelle Custis, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies. Welcome, friends, to another episode of the Rise2Shine Podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Custis. Okay, so as the holiday season approaches, I can't even believe that I'm saying this, the topic of dealing with difficult people feels more timely than ever. But honestly, it isn't really just the holidays that have brought this to my attention. The holidays just seem to, make this more, what should I say? Brings this out in people, right? There's a lot of stress around the holidays. There's a lot going on. And so it definitely feels like the challenging behaviors come out, and maybe behaviors that feel a little bit more annoying, all the words that we use, right? But again, it's not just the holidays that have brought this to my attention, because truly I have found myself doing some serious self-reflection on this lately. And I feel like after some of my own very recent experiences, it's become clear just how much this challenge shows up in life every day. And trust me, I know that I am not alone in this. I've been hearing it from friends. And don't even get me started on what I see and hear on social media. It's all there playing out for everyone to see. And, this could be a challenging coworker. It could be a family member who literally pushes our buttons, or it can just be that one person who seems to have a knack for stirring up negativity. We all have them in our lives, the ones that love to complain. You know who I'm talking about. I'm sure right now you are absolutely thinking of at least one person in your brain, right? I mean, we're all guilty of this. But here's the thing. I want to help you reframe how you see these interactions, not just during the holidays, like I said, but it is timely because we are right around the corner from that, but really every single day. And let's be honest, life is way too short to let someone else steal our joy. And that's exactly what we are letting them do. So today we're going to be talking about taking back our power, reshaping our mindset, and focusing on what it is that we want to create, because you deserve the peace and the freedom, no matter who you're around. And I'm talking to myself here again today, like I usually do on these podcasts. I'm really, at a place that I recognized I need a reminder of this too. We're constantly evolving. I know I've gotten a lot better about this. However, sometimes I need to catch myself as well. So I hear this all the time, clients, friends, even my own family. And like I said, I've been guilty of this too, saying, this person is just so toxic, or they're so needy, they're entitled, they're opinionated. Oh my gosh, they drive me crazy. Again, do you hear yourself in any of that? We can all relate to this, right? But the truth is, whether or not those labels are accurate doesn't actually matter. What matters is how much power we give to those thoughts. When we focus on so much of someone else's difficult personality, we end up feeling and creating the feelings of frustration and annoyance in our own lives. I want you to really think about that. It's like, okay, so here's the example. I mean, this happens to me all the time, and I know I've talked about it before, but it's like when you learn a new word for the first time, and then suddenly you start hearing it everywhere in conversations, in books, you're watching a television program, and you hear the word because your brain starts to tune in. It goes on like overdrive, picking it up wherever it appears. It's like seeking it out. And the same thing happens with difficult people. When we focus on how challenging they are, our mind goes on high alert, noticing every single tiny little thing that bothers us. And that's called the reticular activating system. It's a part of your brain that actually focuses on what you give attention to. So, what if we could shift that focus? Because when we obsess over those traits, we become just like them. We start to mirror their energy, maybe even without realizing it subconsciously. We start to mirror that. And then we are the ones who end up feeling irritated and miserable. We don't like who we become in those moments, yet it happens over and over again. And then what do? We vent, we gossip, we spend even more energy talking about them. And here's what ends up happening. It ends up, first of all, driving us crazy. And then it deepens that feeling of powerlessness. You can quietly raise your hand in your own little space that you're in right now as you're listening. You can raise your hand in your brain if you have been there, where you start to feel powerless. And this is where I want us to shift this focus and choose our thoughts, because let me tell you, our brain is so powerful. And how do we break that cycle? I am going to say, first and foremost, that I know that it's not easy. It's going to take some real intention. It's going to take real effort, but trust me, I'm going to tell you, you can change how you think about these situations. And the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to start by considering what we want to create. What do you want to create? What if instead of focusing on how difficult someone is, you choose to focus on what you want to feel when you're around them? I'm going to say that again. Instead of focusing on how difficult someone is, you choose to focus on what you want to feel when you're around them. Now, you might be sitting there feeling like, oh my gosh, no, this is impossible. Because here's the thing, it is probably justifiable. I am not saying that they are not difficult. I am not saying that they are not challenging. But again, we cannot change anybody else. We can only change ourselves. So I want you to imagine this. You're at the Thanksgiving table, Christmas table, wherever you're gathered, and that particular relative is doing their usual thing. I mean, they make movies about this. They make jokes about this. I mean, it is a real thing. We all have someone that is complaining or being critical, whatever it may be. I want you to take a breath and I want you to ask yourself, what do I want to create in this moment? Who do I want to be? So as you're hearing them going on and on and on, because usually these are the folks that are going to probably dominate the conversations. This is where I want you to start thinking in your mind. What do I want to create in this moment? Who do I want to be? Maybe you want to feel calm. You're like, I want to go to my Zen place. Maybe you want to feel compassionate. or maybe you just simply want to be unbothered. You don't have to like what they're saying. We're never going to agree with everybody, but you don't have to engage in it either. Most of the time, difficult people feed off of the engagement. Just an FYI, you probably know that, but gosh, they get under our skin so much, and it's so hard to control ourselves. But you can choose a thought like, I'm curious as to why they may feel this way. Or even I can listen and not take this personally. Because if it's something that they are not agreeing or you don't agree with, or they don't agree with you on, and it's, something that you're going, oh my gosh, I'm ready to explode because he's wrong or she's wrong, or, whatever the case is, can you listen without taking it personally? Now, you're going to have to dig deep here, especially as you're training yourself to do this. But I want you to become an observer rather than the reactor. Now, again, I know what you might be thinking. Why should I let them off the hook? Why should I let them off the hook? We like to be right. We like to share our own opinions, but this isn't about letting them off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional toll. When you shift to becoming an observer of people rather than a reactor, you create this space between their behavior and your response. And sometimes that space gives us a moment to see things differently. And I'm even going to go as far as to say sometimes, and I've seen this happen, honestly, that space gives us a moment to even have a touch of compassion for that person. I'm going to tell you, there have been many people that have gotten under my skin. I am not here to say that they don't. But oftentimes when I'm really in that intentional space, I can start to have at least curiosity and sometimes even compassion. I wish I could say I have tons of compassion. Sometimes I do. But it really is true. And here's the thing too. I'm not saying to excuse bad behavior because, if it's something that is, I'm not talking about the super bad behavior, the behavior that is unacceptable and cannot be tolerated because it goes to those abusive types of places. So I am not talking about that. I'm just talking about the ones that we label as annoying and, oh my gosh, they just, get under my skin. They complain all the time. I'm talking about more of that kind of challenging behavior. But what if just for today, you decided to see them with that curiosity? What if instead of seeing them as toxic, you wondered, what might they be struggling with that makes them act this way? What is it? Because it's usually about them. It's usually something that's been going on with them on the inside. Maybe they don't even know how to talk about those things, and this is their way of just expressing themselves. So, what if we started to think about that? Maybe they feel alone and they feel like this is their place at the Thanksgiving table to be able to just be with family and be able to be themselves and just say whatever they want to say. I'm not, again, saying that it's excusable, but I just want you to start thinking about it differently. And again, it doesn't mean if it's a coworker or somebody like that, it doesn't mean you have to become best friends, but it helps lighten that emotional weight that you start to carry. Because I want you to really think about that. When you're bothered by someone or someone else is challenging or difficult or hard, think about how it makes you feel. How does it make you feel on the inside? Do you get knots in your stomach? Do you feel like just like your body tenses up? Think about the emotional weight and the energy that you carry because you allow it to get under your skin. Because again, what we focus on is what our brain starts to find for us over and over and over again. So if we start reframing that a little bit, then our brain can focus on something that is not in that negative space, right? And you never know, because once you do kind of hit that curiosity space and then that compassion space, sometimes miracles happen. And sometimes that relationship can even shift. So I want to break it down just a little bit further. And here's a few things. And this is where I always say this, where you can take out your notebook. You could re-listen to this part of it if you want to remember. Maybe you're driving your car or whatever the case is. But this is when I always say, get into that cozy spot and really take this in if this is something that's resonating with you. Because here are a few things you can do when you find yourself caught in that cycle of frustration. So number one is choosing that new thought. I'm telling you, this is powerful. What's a thought that you could choose that serves you better? Maybe it's, this moment doesn't define my day. Like whatever this moment is, it doesn't define my day. Or I can let this go and focus on what truly matters to me. Maybe it's just letting it go and just what matters to you today that you can focus on, and you can like let go of that person that maybe said something or was difficult today. Repeat that thought whenever you catch your mind slipping back into the old pattern of obsessing over that other person. I also, number two, want you to visualize the ideal scenario. So I want you to think about, what is that ideal scenario? Picture yourself staying calm, even when they're being difficult. How does it feel to stay grounded and not get sucked into the drama? Practice feeling that version of yourself, because the more you do this, the more natural it's going to become. So maybe you are working with someone that just drives you crazy, and you know you're going to have that interaction with them today. I want you to practice as you're driving to work. I want you to think about, what is the one thought that I can focus on? And then if I visualize myself in that ideal situation, that ideal scenario of what is it going to look like when she or he says something to me or does that thing that annoys me, what do I look like? How do I show up in that situation? And then number three, I want you to ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Sometimes we give our energy way too freely. And I want you to ask yourself, do I really want to spend my energy on this right now? Or could I redirect it to something that brings me joy, brings me more light, serves me better, right? We have to think about ourselves. Life is too short, you guys. It really is. I mean, sometimes we do have to let that energy go. We have to walk away. We have to revisit something later. And then, of course, I'm always going to say the power of gratitude. Focus on what you're grateful for in that moment. Maybe, at that, let's go back to that Thanksgiving table. Maybe it's just going, you know what? I'm so grateful that we can all be here today. And maybe he or she needs us more than we even need them right now. Or maybe be grateful for the opportunity to practice your patience, or even the great food, right? Maybe be grateful for the amazing job you have. Because when we're in gratitude, that also shifts our focus away from what's wrong and towards what's right. I hope I'm making sense with that. because it really is about letting go of some of that negative energy and taking back your own joy, taking back your own power. We don't have to be powerless because you have the power to choose what occupies your mind. We really do. You don't have to let someone else's bad attitude steal your joy, especially if it's on a daily. Imagine every day. I've been there, done that. So let's stop letting these difficult, these challenging people take us hostage, right? You have the power to decide how you want to show up in any situation, no matter how difficult it is. It's not easy. It's not always going to feel natural, but I promise it's worth it because what you focus on truly grows. So, again, let's focus on who you want to be. How do you want to feel today? And what kind of joy, what kind of energy do you want to bring into the room with you when you enter? You have that choice. And it literally starts with one single thought that you focus on. One single thought. So focus on who you want to be, how you want to feel, and what kind of energy you want to bring into every room that you enter. I so hope that this resonates with you. I know that it is something, again, that I had to do a big reflection on recently and going to work through with my own family through the holidays. And also just be there and share this as well with other people around me. And we can be also the person that other people are looking at going, huh, how is she still able to remain calm? How is she still able to be okay when the rest of us are all frazzled? Because it's that domino effect of what we bring to the table can also help someone else. So I just want to say thank you for listening today. I hope that if this resonated with you, I hope it did. Please share it with someone that may need this as well. And don't forget, if you feel like this is something you would love to give a review on, I would love for you to do that. It really means the world to me when you take the time, and definitely makes the world of difference for this podcast to get out there. So thank you for joining me today. And until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and know that the best is yet to come. Bye, you guys.
Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review. And don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise2Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.